party crasher. I'm Adrienne Pedersen. Today on Up Front. President Trump plans a trip to Wisconsin just as Democrats launch their national convention. Next, the presidential power play. Does this ramp up pressure on Joe Biden to visit our state? Plus, Democrats' virtual convention. Could this be the way of the future? And selling Milwaukee, how the city's promoters are making the most of the unconventional convention.
Taking on the issues important to Wisconsin. This is Up Front with your host, Adrienne Pedersen.
Thank you for joining us. Democrats open their national convention tomorrow to nominate Joe Biden as their pick for president and Senator Kamala Harris as his running mate. But the former reality TV star who is president is trying to steal their show. As Democrats meet online and at the Wisconsin Center in Milwaukee, President Trump is planning a visit to Oshkosh. His campaign isn't stopping there. Vice President Mike Pence will be in Wisconsin Wednesday. Son Eric Trump will visit this week. The Women for Trump bus tour travels today, and the campaign is offering up multiple spokespeople to try to get TV time in Milwaukee. The latest Marquette Law School poll out just last week shows Biden leading the president by 6 points among registered voters. I asked Trump campaign spokesperson Katrina Pearson about this new strategy.
Well, look, we think Wisconsin is extremely important. You know, this will not be the first time that the women of Trump have been to Wisconsin. I was there just a few weeks ago with the bus tour, and we're just really excited about it. You know, the vice president, as you mentioned, will be there on the 19th, and he's going to discuss the administration's ongoing commitment to a pro-growth agenda and also reject this new radical socialist ideology that's taken over the Democrat Party. But he also wants to show, and the president wants to show, and we want to show the citizens of Wisconsin what a presidential ticket looks like, who's invested in the state as well as the state's recovery from coronavirus. And the vice president was there just this last July to provide another update on the border wall and to praise police officers. But to your point, this is a huge contrast. You know, Joe Biden is choosing not to attend his own party's convention in the great state of Wisconsin. And we believe that this snub of the state speaks to the Democrats choosing a lethargic candidate who refuses to leave his basement and ask Wisconsinites for their votes. This is the mistake the Democrats are making, just like in 2016, by ignoring voters and by taking the Rust Belt states for granted. But I'll have you know that not even a global pandemic will keep the Trump campaign, the president and the vice president from making their case and asking for the votes of the American people, and that includes the people of Wisconsin.
Is there any concern, though, that traveling in a pandemic will actually have the opposite effect and backfire and make people believe that the president isn't taking it as seriously as Joe Biden?
No, not at all. Look, there are guidelines put out by the CDC that the campaign is following. The president and the vice president are also following, and each state has its own restrictions and guidelines that we will abide by.
And according to the latest Marquette Law School poll, Joe Biden has 49% support among likely voters. President Trump has 44%. That gap has tightened since the previous poll. I'm curious, which voters are you specifically targeting in Wisconsin to close that gap more?
Well, look, if you ask the president, he'll tell you he wants all voters. And the reality is we really don't pay too much attention to the polls. As a veteran of 2016, I can tell you that Donald Trump has always been down in the polls, but that didn't stop him from campaigning hard in every state to get those votes. So we're going to be out there campaigning for every vote.
And the RNC is also going mostly virtual. I'm curious what the difference will be, what that will look like compared to the DNC.
Well, I think the difference here is going to be the ground game. When you had the original debates that were scheduled back in October 2019, since the pandemic, traditional campaigning has changed, but the RNC is out there doing their job. We have, you know, hundreds of thousands of volunteers have knocked on over 1 million doors up to date, and we are actually going out there and campaigning to the American people. So the Trump campaign actually has a ground game in contrast to the Biden campaign, who's just now out there starting to hire state directors.
But what about that actual convention? Do you know what that will look like yet?
Well, you're going to have some announcements coming out soon for the convention. I think it's going to be very exciting. There's also going to be a contrast where the Democrats are going to focus on the entitled politicians. The Trump campaign is going to focus on the American people.
You talked a little bit about the president trying to win women over with some of these events. And I'm curious, does referring to women as suburban housewives and nasty make that sell more difficult for people like you who are out there talking to women?
No, not at all, because we don't believe that women are a monolith, and we don't believe that women vote based upon other women issues. We're all different. And that's a mistake that the Biden campaign makes and Democrats make all the time with identity politics. We love our president and how honest and truthful that he speaks. He tells you what he's thinking, and we respect that. We're not nasty women, so that doesn't bother us.
So you're saying since he only describes certain women as that, women overall you've talked to are okay with it?
No, I'm not saying anyone's okay with it. Everyone has their opinion. But what I am saying is that the president's not pandering to women. He's not going to pander to anyone. This is nothing new. And a lot of people appreciate the fact that our president is just very honest and outspoken and not lying to them like most politicians do.
So the president continues to call voting by mail fraudulent. And we had a county party chairman on this show who was worried that that would actually hurt Republicans. And he was concerned that Republicans wouldn't feel comfortable showing up to the polls, and then they wouldn't feel comfortable mail-in voting, and they wouldn't vote at all. So why does the president think continuing to say this will help?
Well, I think the difference is mail-in voting versus the absentee ballots. The president absolutely supports mailing in absentee ballots. Those are the votes that you have to request, and your identity is actually confirmed, whereas mail-in ballots, universal mail-in ballots, is what's truly being discussed by the Democrats. And that is where ballots are just blanketly mailed to everyone in the state and submitted. And some states have even changed their laws that opens the potential for massive voter fraud.
Okay, well, Katrina, with the president's campaign, we appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
To continue on the vote by mail topic here, I reached out to Claire Woodall-Vogt, the executive director of Milwaukee's Election Commission. She told me voting by mail for the Tuesday primary was efficient and accurate. She's not aware of what fraud President Trump is referring to. According to the latest Marquette Law School poll, among all registered voters, 35% say they plan to vote absentee by mail for Election Day, while 46% say they will vote in person. 12% say they'll vote early in person. Coming up, Democrats turn in the spotlight. I'll ask a DNC leader about the platform issues that matter to voters and if Joe Biden can win Wisconsin without campaigning here in person. And later, Milwaukee's pitch, the new promotions going out to convention audiences. We'll have that when Upfront continues.